Go back to the Globetrots.
Yep.
Alright. Should we move on to the next aphorism?
I think so.
Alright, it's time for aphorism 222.
Good number.
Where pity is preached today, and, if you listen closely, this is the only religion preached now, psychologists should keep their ears open. Through all the vanity, through all the noise that characterizes these preachers, like all preachers, they will hear a hoarse, groaning, genuine sound of self-contempt. Oh boy, this is going to be one of those aphorisms that we were having our sensitivity conversations about.
Yes.
This belongs to that darkening and uglification of Europe which had been growing for a century now, and whose first symptoms were registered in a thoughtful letter Galliani wrote to Madame de Epinay. Unless it is the cause of this process, the man of modern ideas, this proud ape, is immeasurably dissatisfied with himself. That is certain. He suffers, and his vanity wants him to suffer only with others to feel pity. Unfortunately, I have to use the facilities, so Martin, Heidegger, is going to explain this particular aphorism.
Yes. My Nazi level is much smaller than the real Martin Heidegger.
I would hope so.
Yes. So yeah, Nietzsche. I'm not exactly certain how we should take pity here. But I mean, he's explicitly talking about preachers. But I'm not sure if he's talking about the outlook of, hey, look at all the people out there that are trying to live their secular lifestyle without reference to God. Like, really they might say that they enjoy this and that it's better, but really we should pity these people. I think he might be referring to that. I'll go on that assumption. And if that's the case, he says that this is really just a form of self-loathing. And I think what he's saying by that is that these, really what people are trying to express when they pity those who are able to be secular is a wish themselves that they could get by without reference to a God figure. That they were great enough themselves. That they were great enough themselves to get by without help. No, that was tying to the video game. But that they're great enough to set their own values and to live without appeal to some higher power. And I think this would probably be an apt time to talk about what?
I just had a thought, but continue what you're thinking about. I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay. I think this might be an apt time to talk about Freud just a little bit.
Oh boy.
Not a lot. We won't get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Nietzsche is accepted by scholars as either a huge direct influence to Freud, like he read Nietzsche and incorporated his ideas, or Nietzsche's ideas caught on enough that Freud picked them up by osmosis from other people. Because the resemblance when you read the two is uncanny. And here we're hearing Nietzsche start to postulate some things that sound an awful lot like the unconscious. Like, really, these people say that they're pitying other people, but really below the surface, they have this self-loathing that is manifest in pitying other people. And I think the idea is that, look, what those who preach pity are saying is that we really wish, man was greater than it is, that human beings were better, and that us as human beings didn't need to appeal to something, greater than ourselves, something greater than this world, beyond life, to justify doing good, and, living a good lifestyle and whatnot. And that is manifest, sort of paradoxically, as pitying people who are able to do that. I think that you sort of see that psychology happening here in Nietzsche.
Huh. I've never thought about the connection between Nietzsche and Freud before.
Yeah, no, notice how Nietzsche is postulating below the surface causes for why people express the ideas that they do. This is, directly an influence, people think, on Freud's idea of the unconscious.
Do you think which of those thinkers do you think has more respect today broadly?
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Yeah, 100%. Freud, like, at least in the psychology circles that I'm in.
Right, and to reiterate, Martin is like going to be a grad student in psychology. That or his life is literally over.
Yeah. That's the deal, universe. It has been struck. That is my covenant.
That is my covenant.
Yes.
That's Nietzschean right there.
Oh God. But yeah, in the psych circles that I frequent, Freud is mentioned as an influence because he was in America for a long time. But there's also some bitterness in that mention, because psychology, like any other science, has politics behind it, and for a while, American psychology was, like in large parts, like run by Freudians, and they would exclude other viewpoints and do some problematic things, and that's in the past for sure now. Like you would be like in like major like Ivy League schools or big state schools, you'd be hard pressed to find a single Freudian. I think in all of them. We're working in the psychology department. You'll find them in English departments or philosophy departments, but you won't find them in psychology departments.
Hey, I need some help over here.
The majority viewpoint on Freud is that he wasn't scientific in the right way. That like Karl Popper made this critique. He's a philosopher of science, but that look, the same Freudian could look at one behavior and come up with an explanation for a patient, and then let's say that the patient, said, "Oh wait, no, I didn't go down the street like I said. Really, I just stayed in bed. Sorry, I forgot." The Freudian could also come up with an explanation for that. That was just as coherent. And so the idea is that anything that happened, the psychologist would be able to explain it under the theory. There's nothing that's even possibly observable that could falsify Freudian psychology. And that's the critique of Freudianism. I actually think that Freud is underrated in psychology. I'm not a Freudian by any means. I don't believe in any of the stuff that he believed psychologically. But when you read his actual books, the picture that you get is of a neuroscientist, of a medical doctor. He was a medical doctor, and he was trained as a doctor, and he said, "Look, I have all these patients. They don't seem to have anything physically wrong with them, but they aren't able to live their lives. You might think like epileptics or a whole range of people that we would now say have psychological disorders. But he's like, look, there's patients, nothing obviously physically wrong. I've done all the physical stuff, but there's got to be something wrong." And so he posits, look, there's this psychology, and in his early works, it's like, look, here's helpful things in my clinical practice that have helped people get better, and here's a theory which explains why these things are working, and that stuff just sounds like good medical science to me. Of course, we've gotten beyond that, and we've evolved a lot. And then also Freud became sort of an egomaniac later in his life, and that didn't help the politics that I was mentioning before, and the making very tightly knit sects that would disown each other after periods of time. But all in all, I mean, the thing that I just described about his method, that just sounds like good science to me. So that's the idea, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all the phallus. They're just fallacies everywhere.
Well, phalluses or fallacies?
Yes. If you say fallacies, then you can get the double entendre.
That's true,
So.
I suppose. All right.
Freud, full of fallacies.
Clipped him!